keys. An Empire fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard, increase security, and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Without a strong IT partner, your business ends up overspending, underperforming, wearing too many hats, complicating your work, and more. Applied Connective Technologies can help with experts in every facet of technology. If it plugs in, powers on, or charges up, they're your people. Imagine being able to call one team for all your technology solutions rather than a village of vendors and providers. For all your needs in managed IT and cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, infrastructure, and audio or video, head to appliedconnective.com to better your business today.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at Oak Street Carpet.
Oak Street Carpet.
1732 Oak Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Have a passion for the outdoors? Nebraska Game and Parks is seeking seasonal teammates. Work in scenic state parks, contribute to vital research projects, and care for our natural spaces. Seasonal staff assist with special events, provide customer service to outdoor enthusiasts, and make a difference for conservation. Join the adventure at outdoornebraska.gov. Apply online today. Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Old School with DP and J.
Everybody's going to focus on his intensities and antics. I think he would be just fine because Billy Donovan is doing well, right? And he's intense as all get out. But how do you think he would transition to the NBA as a coach? And then also, what does this tell you about the Lakers?
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
I think the plan is to go bigger at corner. You got to have bigger corners in this league because you got these receivers. You got to deal with Ohio State receivers. And I'm not saying small corners can't get it done, but small corners have to be extraordinary, right? They got to jump higher. They got to do things that bigger corners might not necessarily have to do. So, I mean, losing Ethan Nation, it's kind of a blow, but when you got to get down in scholarships anyway, it's not, man. They got to have their best guys, man.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, deal ends June 14th. Join now, online or at your local PF Club.
See Home Club for details.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist. This time he beats the kicker and one more. DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weeknights. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. We got the Royals on the brick and mortar. So again, if you want to watch these shows, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo channel 961. And again, you can still use the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Always a great way to join the show. But nonetheless, we got him in here. DeMornay Pierson-El, how's it going?
It's going good. You hear me now?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I got to reach, as we talk about, we still got this AC going on in here. So a little bit different setup, man. Great week for it. Let me tell you that. But yeah, it's a warm Tuesday night. We got the College World Series on Friday. We'll be out there. Blur Events, DeMornay Pierson-El. That offers extended to you, of course. If you want to show up, hang out with the Ticket Gang, we'll be right out there. Blur Events, great time. They'll have the Misters. They did last year. I'm sure they'll bring it back. I think it's going to be a hot, muggy weekend with some rain as well. But I kind of want to lean into the College World Series right now because it's just SEC and ACC dominating the land. I mean, they got it cornered right now. They got the cornered market. And we talked a little bit this on Old School. What does these other conferences have to do to start competing with those other schools? And then we could really focus on Nebraska in particular and what they need to do in the Big Ten.
I think it comes down to coaching is a piece of it, but also the type of players that fit your system and fit what you want to do to put your program over the edge. So even if it's not, the top guys in the nation or anything like that, you might have to go JUCO route, transfer portal, or somebody, a little bit unorthodox who doesn't, he might not have been, your first choice. But to get yourself into those conversations, to be, competing with those leagues, being consistent winners night in and night out, and putting products, to the next level that they'll be able, draft eligible or high up, more so than the later rounds, because baseball has so many rounds to be drafted in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one where even if you look at some of the teams. Like when we play Florida, and just being you looked at Florida, they look different. Despite their record, despite you look at the numbers heading in there, and you might have thought, this Florida team, this is very good. We should be able to handle this team pretty soundly. But then you realize the teams they play against and the division they're in, and that they're in the gauntlet as soon as they're in regular season play. Or conference play, I should say. Those non-con games, sure. But that conference games, that is the reason why their record is what it is. It wasn't because they were bad. It's because they're going against some elite talent. And if you're going to give them an easy ball to hit, they showed it. They will hit home run after home run. And we were having players that we thought weren't a threat, really giving Nebraska a lot of problems. Now, there's some unexpected things. You got like Brett Sears, you weren't expecting, some weak play. They were walking batters. Some things were uncharacteristic. I do think some of it's timing with Nebraska, just unfortunately getting really hot at the Big Ten tournament and then cooling down at the worst moment. We saw that after they lost, day one. Luckily, it was double elimination. They're able to climb back, but then, of course, they lose again. But it's just one of those things for Nebraska baseball and the Big Ten in general, where you look at Penn State, and shout out Nick Sainer for pointing this out. Penn State made it to the Big Ten championship, and they had 8 players hit the portal. That's signs that even the players kind of feel like the next stage is those SEC, ACC. You might even argue a Pac-12. You can even argue maybe a Big 12 if you really want to stretch it out. But the Big Ten, out of all the players transferring out of the Big Ten right now, Nebraska is the lowest currently with only 3 guys hitting the portal. But you are seeing this, that even if it feels like the players know that's the next big stage. I think the key for Nebraska is to start dominating in the Big Ten. If you want to ever compete against those guys, you need to dominate the Big Ten and make that conference really start to shift and how they operate. Kind of how we saw, in the football days, Urban Meyer in Florida, as Jay Foreman pointed out, they started kind of running some of the option stuff that as Nebraska got away from it, some of those other schools started taking notes from it, and they just started dominating the league. They made people adjust. I think that's kind of the thing for Nebraska baseball. You only got 3 guys hitting the portal. The team that you played against in the Big Ten championship has 8. You need to dominate, make that the school, and then as time goes on, it'll just elevate the Big Ten as a whole, because if the Big Ten stays as weak as it is, you won't ever really be ready when you get to that SEC, ACC ball.
I mean, you have that. You can schedule, non-conference games or, be in the tournaments with some of those SEC teams or ACC teams to kind of give you, a bit of a hint, like, okay, like, we've seen this before. We know what to handle. You rather, get those mistakes and, mismatches or, mess ups early out the way. That way, when you come around and see them again, it's like, okay, like we know this worked for us. We know, we needed to change this and do this better versus, late, at the end of the season, you get there and then you just, you're blown away. It's not so much the Big Ten, Nebraska needs to dominate, period, year in and year out, be, the best or, or one of the top, teams for baseball, in the Big Ten to where, people will understand that and come and be like, no, they do have some players. People start looking at your program differently regardless. And, when you do, match up against some of those ACC teams and SEC teams, you hold your own. That'll generate, you keeping, more so of the home talent here or going around to some of these other places and picking off, a couple guys that might have went to the ACC or might have went to the SEC and, bring them back up, here. That way, they can still show that they can compete, with the ACC and the SEC. So it's not more so of the Big Ten, it's more so, taking care of kind of home and, the rest will kind of, work itself out.
Yeah, and I should rephrase a little bit better. Absolutely, you're right. Take care of home, and as a result, the Big Ten will catch up. It's in the mindset I'm in. You need to dominate them, beat down the Big Ten as much as you can until they wake up. And that's even talking Nebraska. I mean, that means Nebraska has to go out this next year and dominate. That's why I point at the transfer portal, and that's why I thought it was a great segment from Nick Sainert earlier on the happy hour, because that's a big deal. And it just kind of shows you where the Big Ten sits in terms of baseball with some of these other conferences. Even if you didn't know it before, that's a pretty good indicator that's always kind of the next step for a lot of these guys that are serious about baseball. I mean, how much of this is controllable, or do you think a lot of this too is just the culture that's around that region and just the ability to play baseball way longer than you would in a lot of these Big Ten teams?
I think just how things are down there differently and how they go about it is a little bit different. They've been known to put people, at the majors and go on to the next level. You got schools like Arkansas, Vandy, LSU, Ole Miss, coming up that had Florida, that have been known, I wouldn't say powerhouses, but, when you talk about SEC, those are the places that, that you want to go to because, what you'll be able to do and accomplish there will have set you up successful to be at the next level. So I think just that alone, you get the pick of the litter of whatever you want to do. And even if, you don't get your first best, you'll see a kid that you recruited that just ended up going somewhere else. And you have to be on your A game. So, I mean, it's the best of the best continue to go at it. Iron sharpens iron. And, when you kind of match up with some of these other not as strong conferences and everything like that, you see the dominance. So it's not that the other teams don't necessarily have it, but, I mean, it's where they are, their location, how long they can, practice things, and the longevity that they have had and the success that they have had to where, the money's being poured back in the program to where kids want to go there because, they'll know they'll have a better chance at, getting a chance at the next level or whatnot.
Yeah, and definitely just more eyes on you too. I mean, if just being honest, like when Nebraska was down there for, obviously it's close, it makes sense. You're going to see a ton of Nebraska fans at that Big Ten tournament. But if you look at the SEC, that's what every single game looks like, regardless of who's playing. all of those fan bases show up to watch those baseball teams. In particular, LSU is crazy about their baseball team.
Mississippi State is crazy. Vandy, the little Vandy Howler, he's annoying, but I mean they all have their own, unique different thing, about their stadium, about, I wouldn't even say tradition, just, different rituals or whatever, that they have down there.
Yeah, and as we sit right now, we'll go through the teams who are in there, who are down there in Omaha. Again, starts Friday. The ticket will be out there. We'll have some ticket talent out there. I'll be a good place to go ahead and meet, hang out. And then, of course, it's going to be there, right there next to College World Series. So you can go head into the game as well. But looking who's in there right now. You got on the one side, bracket 1, Virginia, UNC, Florida State, Tennessee. And the other side of the bracket, you got NC State, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M. Florida, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about. You looked at Florida in the SEC, and you're like, these guys, you look at the numbers, you think, yes, it's going to be a battle, but Nebraska should beat them. And it was somewhat close, but they got you better 2 times. And now they're sitting there. They advanced past through everything. And now they're sitting there in the College World Series.
The line, the stars aligned for them. The people like in their pool, or the heavy hitters in their pool got knocked out before they could even go. So I mean, they were not saying that we're going against easier talent than what they were accustomed and used to. They caught fire, and I mean, they handle business, and look where it's gotten them.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, I mean, they got a good chance at it. I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting with Texas A&M down there because there's going to be a lot of Nebraska fans. But of all of those teams in there, is there anyone out there that seems just like this is their year, the way they're running through this thing, that you think is going to have the best odds to win this thing, as we'll find out Friday as these games start happening?
Virginia's always consistently in there. Like they're always a good program. You can't sleep on them. Mm-hmm. They haven't been too bad. UNC's been kind of unexpected to say. They're kind of playing really, really, really good. The other teams, it's hit or miss, but those are the 2 teams that pop into my mind at first.
Yeah, it's going to give me nightmares if Florida finds a way to win it, because that seems to be Nebraska's luck when we do have these big years in baseball, is we end up playing what ends up being the national championship for that year. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably looking at a team like Virginia, maybe even NC State.
Yeah, I could see them. Like I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, with all these teams, when it comes to baseball too, all of these teams that got to this point, they all have very valid reasons why they could win the whole thing. But I'm just going to look at the most consistent teams, and that is going to be probably a Virginia. North Carolina too, not bad, but NC State. And then who knows, maybe Florida stays hot. The only team that most people down there in Omaha probably aren't going to be rooting for A&M. Yeah, for obvious reasons. I'm just going to be curious if the players know ahead of time why they might be getting booed. But it'll be an interesting process nonetheless. And again, that all starts Friday. Definitely welcome to hang out with us down there at the ticket. But yeah, I mean, next year, looking at Nebraska baseball, do you think this is kind of a reload year for us? And do you think we go back to back? This looking way too far ahead. But again, that's why I want to talk about those transfer portal exits. We're getting pretty much a lot of our talent back, is a word I would use. I think we should be pretty solid. Obviously, we're going to be losing Brett Sears, Big Ten pitcher of the year. We're going to have to find someone to replace that. But for the most part, you're going to have a lot of guys coming back. You don't have a lot of guys leaving. And again, we talked about the Big Ten and everybody else transferring out. This does feel like a year for Nebraska. If you want to start making ground, you go back to back.
It's definitely a foot in the right direction. You have a good core of your team coming back. Of course, some pieces that are going to be a little bit more tougher to replace. But I mean, with you winning the Big Ten and, having a, pitching job open and whatnot, that might be an attraction to some of these people, in the transfer portal or, JUCO coming up and whatnot. So we might be able to, have the pick of the litter to where you can get what you want and, tune some things up, change up a little bit things and, take and get things, right off running and get right back into it. So it's definitely, we're in a better position than a lot of teams in the Big Ten. It's too early to say, back to back. That's not easy to do. And you never know. Cause I mean, you might just have, some team that just has a special run, that year or whatnot. Maryland could recruit, the area crazy and they pop back up. They're typically good in baseball. It's they definitely have a strong foot. They have a strong lead. I would say so on the majority of the Big Ten. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I feel like these windows come slim. So that's why I'm really just like, you got to put your foot on the gas right now and try to figure out a way to kind of take over this thing and really assert your dominance in it. And then, of course, the next step is you got to get down to the College World Series. But again, it was a good year for Nebraska baseball to win the Big Ten championship, to have the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. You had a lot of good things going for you. Now it's just build off of it. Build off of it so when you do get to those SEC teams, it's not just a shock and awe when all of a sudden the pitches that were giving you outs before turned into grand slams at times, one-off home runs. I mean, that was the problem with Florida. Some of those pitches that were outs, they were crushing them. I mean, destroying those balls. I mean, there was guys out there that were, I'll have to look up his name, but I mean, he just had a double-double every single, he was getting to second base every time he was at bat. It just didn't matter. I mean, he was giving us so many problems, and this was a guy that really isn't on your radar on who are the guys we really need to watch out for. But those pitches, they look different when they come from the Big Ten. When they're down, instead of playing in the SEC, they see some of those like, I can hit this one. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened to, I think, unfortunately, to Nebraska baseball and a lot of those Big Ten teams and other conferences when they do get there, because that's just kind of the mega of baseball. And it has been for a long time. It makes sense culturally. It makes sense weather-wise. And the wins and losses definitely illustrate that picture as well. Let's talk a little bit NBA Finals. And then on the other segment, I, of course, want to dive into some NFL, maybe a little bit of Aaron Rodgers news, how we're feeling about that whole situation. Because maybe he's not as healthy as we think. But we do got NBA Finals Game 3 tomorrow, 7:30. It's going to be the Mavericks. They finally get it at home. Jason Tatum's been playing horrible. It hasn't mattered. You can say rebounds, assists, and all that. It hasn't been good. Still finding a way to win, though, with help of Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown being consistent. But then when you look over at the Mavericks, everybody's been inconsistent outside of Luka Doncic. Game 3, what are you thinking?
The Mavericks are going to have to show up as a team. I have nothing, bad to say about Luka. He's clearly, I wouldn't say he's tired, but, late in the game, his shot selection has been different. So he needs help. Kyrie, needs to get things going early. He needs to make sure, he's doing his part. He just looks thrown off, lackluster. And then the rest of the team, nobody's doing anything. And like I said, they're three hungry. And I feel like, that's kind of been their thing, live and die by the three for their whole playoff run, for their whole season. And if you're off and you having a bad night and everything like that, that can be, the difference between, winning and losing, because they were they played, better the second game, but they were still, three crazy. And I feel like, getting a two, getting consistent, getting kind of in the rhythm and everything like that versus, just jacking up anything just to jack it up. That's going to put you in a hole. And Boston isn't a team that you want to get in a hole against, because as we've seen before, they're an energy type of team. In a blink of an eye, they can run things up on you. They can steal the ball, block it, throw it over your head, and somebody's dunking. The energy's shifted, and the momentum is gone out of the room. And instead of being a 4 or 6 point game, it got to 15, 18 quick in a blink of an eye. The Mavericks are definitely going to have to defend home court. It's going to take a team. They're going to have to, start going to the paint, getting them to take fouls. They've gotten hit. Now it's their time, to get back up and see what they're really made of.
Yeah, and Kyrie Irving's maybe hits the 3 this game. I think that's kind of your hope for the Mavericks is Kyrie Irving, he's not going to have this many bad games around. He has yet to hit a 3. The Mavericks have only hit 2 corner threes so far. PJ Washington, he just looks different. Washington, it's like you don't even expect him to make it anymore in this series. He was red hot pretty much all playoffs, and then he gets to the finals, and it's really just everybody but Luka. It's been kind of bizarre for the Mavericks, and you're right about the 3-point shot. That's what's been so devastating if you're a Mavericks fan, because you looked at that game, and the Celtics shot even worse. Tatum played terrible, but the fact that you didn't really have anybody outside of Luka step up led to that loss. defensively, the Celtics just have a lot of options. And the real key here, Porzingis with the injury, do you play him game 3, or if you're the Celtics, you rest him?
Depending on how bad the injury is.
Yeah, it's.
Is it his calf again?
No, it's not his calf.
What is it? What did they say it was this time?
I'll have to get I'll get the definition for you quick while you get the breakdown.
Depending on how bad it is, I think you play him, see how he kind of moves, just to kind of get things to see where he's at in a game time situation, your adrenaline rushing and everything like that. If he doesn't look the same, or if it's hurting, or if it's hurting you, then all right, then pull him out, rest it. Like it's all good. Take the rest. We'll see you in game 4. I wouldn't expect for them to not play him unless it's really, really bad, because he has been a difference on offense and defense. And that's been obvious early on. Like, it's not, through, I wouldn't say it's not throughout the whole game, but early on, he's been aggressive. He's been energetic. He's been a difference maker on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. So I would say, see where he's at. And if he looks like it's painful or slightly off and everything like that, then you get him out of there. Like, no, rest it, ice it. We'll, give you some medicine or something like that, and be ready for game 4. They've been rolling enough and been hitting enough to where, they'll take the gamble on, not risking him, more injury and coming back, a little later on.
Yeah, I'm going to be very surprised to see Porzingis suit up. I really don't think he suits up tomorrow. I think despite what he says, if you're the Celtics, you really want to keep him in the back pocket if you need him later, possibly even that game 4 to go ahead and try to close it out, and then you can have the rest of the season off. But the injury comes down to this, and I'm going to try to get through this medical lingo. Porzingis suffered a torn medial dislocation of the posterior tibia tendon in his left leg at 3:27 of the third quarter. The injury is unrelated to Porzingis' prior right calf injury. So they're unrelated. And it's that posterior tibia tendon in his left leg. So I'm resting him.
Yeah, no. It's torn?
Yes.
No, he's not playing. No.
Yeah, there's no chance.
No. He's not playing.
Especially anytime it's unrelated to, I always kind of tinge a little bit. I don't know if it is unrelated, because anytime you have an injury like that, it feels like your body's trying to make up for it in other ways. And then when something else bad happens, it almost tells me that your body's making up for what's hurting somewhere else. And now as a result, you're getting injuries in other weird spots.
He's 7 foot tall. We've seen, look at Anthony Davis. He's been hurt. I don't know how long, the taller you are, I feel like, the easier they go down with injuries and everything like that. So, that's not anything that we've seen before. But yeah, definitely rest him. It's no need that y'all have gotten to where y'all at without him, and it's nice to have him. But it's not worth, risking that is something, a torn ligament in your leg. Yeah, no.
Yeah, the fact that it's torn, to me, it'd be bizarre. Like, there's no shot you want to risk him out there. And it's for how good he's been. That's the X factor you want to have in the back pocket if you absolutely need it. Otherwise, for how good he's been for you guys, you want to make sure he's healthy, that you can keep him around for more runs in the future.
Tatum needs to have a better game. The first 2 games, the second game was terrible. The first game, he didn't really look like himself. And I don't know if he's just mentally in his head and it's messing up his shot or his rhythm with things or whatnot. He's been contributing on other things, the defensive and rebounding side of stuff. But scoring wise, it's if Porzingis is out, he'll need to have a big game.
Yeah, who's been struggling more in this playoffs? Kyrie Irving or Tatum?
I would say Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie's been
without Kyrie, with the struggles of what Kyrie's been doing, the Mavericks have looked like a team that didn't even deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And with Tatum struggling, the Celtics still seem like they'll still blow you out by 20.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Tatum isn't, valuable and useful to their organization, but as of right now, Kyrie is a bigger piece of the puzzle that needs to step up and fit right in for them to win and get over the hump.
Yeah, and Tatum is right about this. He's still, even if he's having what is just nowhere close to his best game, the rebounding, the defense, they still add something to the plate. Kyrie Irving with his size, if he's not having a good offensively, there's not a lot out there.
He's a non-factor. It looks like he doesn't look like Kyrie Irving at all. It's like how are you this good, but yet you stoop down to playing like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you let the film show that. And I'm not saying it's all him. He's missed shots. It happens. Off nights happen and everything like that. So, like I said, hopefully going back home, being more comfortable, being more confident. Shots start falling. They weren't too off. They were in and out of the rim and everything like that. So we'll see. If he's got it patting down and how that they can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, he's got to stay patient. I think it's the key for him. He's taking a lot of quick shots, trying to get himself going, and it's just not. I think he's got to try to stay a little more patient, but at the same time, it's like, stay patient. You might be down by 20 at half.
I'm saying get to the rim, or if your shot's not necessarily falling or easy thing, just get into the flow of game and assist. He's a slasher. You have, two tall trees in the paint, you can lob it up to them to get things going and everything like that. And then I feel like, Boston might slack off or try and help with, that going on. Then you can start attacking and hitting your shot and everything like that. So just, getting in his rhythm and getting his flow and getting the offense going and getting, the guys to attack the rim and other guys, getting it. They haven't really had too much assist, him or Luka. And that's been a difference with their offense because they're usually, facilitators and they get people involved around them going. And that's something that you really haven't seen from either one of them.
Yeah. And man, even if they do pass it around right now, I don't know if those assist numbers, it's just the way the team's been shooting. It's been rough. But again, no Porzingis out there. This would be the game for Kyrie to get it going, especially talking about driving inside. You can get around Al Horford a lot better than get around Kristaps Porzingis. That's why he's such a matchup problem. That is such a mobile center that they really don't have somebody equipped to deal with right now. Al Horford, they can kind of deal with it with Gafford and Lively, but Porzingis, the way he's pulling those guys out, is just kind of a nightmare. And then obviously the block numbers he's put up already, it's going to be a big deal. If they don't, find a way to, because I'm really doubting Porzingis is in this one. I think to be insane. If they lose this one, I'm not going to call a 3-1 comeback like we saw with the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers. There's always a chance, but feels pretty wrapped. Feels like game 2 is your chance. And then if you fall again at game 3 at home.
They played better. I think going back home, they'll have a different energy. I think, they'll take it a step up from what we've seen in game 2. And I mean, we'll see how Boston is, without Porzingis and see how Tatum responds to his slouch.
Yeah, and as I'm doing the new projections here, and we'll go to break, I've probably got Boston in 5 now. It just feels like these guys are kind of running through them here. I said Boston in 7. After these performances, it's getting tough. I don't know how much, the refs can do to keep this thing alive, but it's going to be a fun series nonetheless. I'd still probably give Luka the chance to just steal the game completely, and then who knows if Tatum has another bad game, maybe you get a second one in there. But that being said, we'll go ahead, throw it to break. Don't Punt Hour, DeMornay Pierson-El. On the other side, we'll talk some NFL. So don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling here on Ticket Weeknights.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Without a strong IT partner, your business ends up overspending, underperforming, wearing too many hats, complicating your work, and more. Applied Connective Technologies can help with experts in every facet of technology. If it plugs in, powers on, or charges up, they're your people. Imagine being able to call one team for all your technology solutions rather than a village of vendors and providers. For all your needs in managed IT and cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, infrastructure, and audio or video, head to appliedconnective.com to better your business today.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Have a passion for the outdoors? Nebraska Game and Parks is seeking seasonal teammates. Work in scenic state parks, contribute to vital research projects, and care for our natural spaces. Seasonal staff assist with special events, provide customer service to outdoor enthusiasts, and make a difference for conservation. Join the adventure at outdoornebraska.gov. Apply online today.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Old School with DP and J.
Everybody's going to focus on his intensities and antics. I think he would be just fine because Billy Donovan is doing well, right? And he's intense as all get out. But how do you think he would transition to the NBA as a coach? And then also, what does this tell you about the Lakers?
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
I think the plan is to go bigger at corner. You got to have bigger corners in this league because you got these receivers. You got to deal with Ohio State receivers. And I'm not saying small corners can't get it done, but small corners have to be extraordinary, right? They got to jump higher. They got to do things that bigger corners might not necessarily have to do. So, I mean, losing Ethan Nation, it's kind of a blow, but when you got to get down in scholarships anyway, it's not, man. They got to have their best guys, man.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, deal ends June 14th. Join now, online or at your local PF Club.
See Home Club for details.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back into Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. You guys can join in 402-464-5685. We're going to talk some NFL here, in particular with the New York Jets, and we'll see where else it goes. But Aaron Rodgers is where I want to start off with because there are some concerns about how healthy will he really be. This was, I believe, only a couple weeks back on the Pat McAfee show. He came on there himself, as he does from time to time. The New York Jets quarterback said he's dealing with a deltoid issue, the deltoid main ligament of the inner ankle. And this is hence where you're getting some of the stories about him having a hard time walking and looking a little bit stiff in the pocket. Rodgers was wearing an ankle brace while walking with crutches on the sideline before they started getting into those preseason camps. Are any concerns about Aaron Rodgers on that other leg? Or do you think that when he does get into season play, that ankle might not be too bad. It's a direct quote from him.
You said direct what?
It's tough one because it's coming directly from him. So this isn't medical staff.
I mean, he's not even close to a year just yet. He's a couple of months away from it. It's a little bit concerning, but I mean, you expect it. It's the Achilles tear today is what the ACL was probably about 10, 15 years ago. It was like a career-ending injury almost. So it's a process. I'm not too concerned about it. The closer as it gets to a year and everything like that, it's a different type of procedure. And I know he had it. His surgery that fixed it was different than how they typically do fix it, and whatnot and everything like that. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's pushed it. He's done things a lot earlier than he was supposed to. So it may just be it's sore or he's experiencing some difficulties right now, but we're so far out from stuff and everything like that. Like I'm not letting that swirl in my head. Like I don't think he's even 8-9 months out yet.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So like that's 6 months out. He might be around 7 here and there. But he's not, he's getting to the threshold of, getting back to being more comfortable of playing and whatnot. So it's expected, to still have, minor difficulties with things and everything like that to iron out. So I'm not letting that, psych me out or make me feel some type of way.
Yeah. And obviously he's not wearing that stuff around permanently. So I do wonder if it just kind of flared up and it got a little stiff on him. Mm-hmm. So I'm still kind of in the camp that he's probably going to be there because you do see him still walking around and you don't see maybe a little bit there. But I'm not incredibly worried about it. Like you said, there's still a lot of time left. Yeah. But what do you think the New York Jets are going to be sitting here in that AFC East? Looking at the teams, we kind of talked about the Buffalo Bills yesterday. The Miami Dolphins, you're just never really quite sure if they're going to implode down the stretch of the season. New England Patriots, they've been down. They were 4-13 last year. Probably not super high expectations for them. Is this kind of a year where maybe the New York Jets do find a way? Because the defense was there. It's always just been, can they get a quarterback to get that offense just enough points so they can trust their defense and try to take care of some of these games. Last year with the quarterback room, it just wasn't working at all. But this AFC East is chance there's going to open up quite a bit, especially with the Buffalo Bills being uncertain what it's going to look like with that definitely weaker wide receiver core and Josh Allen. And then the run game, yes, it got better towards the end of the season, but you're still not dealing with probably elite talent back there. And the Miami Dolphins, I think that's probably going to be the biggest competition with that offense. But where do you see the New York Jets in that AFC East 2024 season?
If Aaron is healthy and he goes through the whole season, they'll probably be the number one team. It's between them and the Dolphins. I'm unsure what Buffalo's going to look like. And, Josh Allen, I'm not saying it's off, but I'm not with what he has on the offensive side there. Like, I'm not afraid. I know they have an awesome offensive coordinator. They're going to have to make some changes on defense. They lost a lot of people that made up, who they were, over these past, 5-6 years. So they don't scare me as much. And then, New England, you got another rookie quarterback and a new head coach. So you never know what you're going to get from them. I like, New England's coach and everything like that. I just don't know what to expect with what they have talent-wise, on the roster there. So as long as A-Rod is healthy, they'll be number one. But if he's not, then, then I think, Miami slides into that number one spot. We've seen what they can do without A-Rod. They were in a pickle. Offensive coordinator almost got fired. So they better cross their T's and dot their I's that he is. They're putting all their eggs in one basket. If he is there, they're a legitimate. If he's there and healthy, I think they are a Super Bowl contending team. We'll see how far they go in the AFC, conference. But I think the AFC definitely has a lot more heavyweights than the NFC.
Yep. It does feel like this is the year for if you get a healthy Rodgers, right? I think it's pretty obvious that's number one. He's got to be healthy, at least 90-95% of himself. You really want to take that number one spot. Otherwise, I don't think the Dolphins are going anywhere anytime soon. I still think they'll have an explosive offense. It's really just more that defense towards the end there. But let's talk about another AFC team. This one in your very own division, AFC West, Los Angeles Chargers. You're hearing a lot from Jim Harbaugh. He loves Herbert. I mean, he can't get enough. He's very high on quoting him. He tweeted today that he could play outside linebacker, tight end for his conditioning, for how elite it was. 5-12 last year, though. Now, obviously, injury is a big part of that, but still, Los Angeles Chargers with the Denver Broncos, the Las Vegas Raiders, and of course, the reigning champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Where do you see the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC West? And do you think this is the year they do move up with new head coach Jim Harbaugh?
I would have to see their schedule to kind of see. But one thing about Harbaugh, once he gets to a place, he's going to change it. I wouldn't say he turns it around, within 1 year. It's going to take him a little while. They have some very, very good pieces there, but they also lost a lot on offense. They got Greg Roman. He was an offensive coordinator that was with Baltimore with Lamar. But I mean, Herbert's a different type of talent. I don't really know what they have, from the receiver room, tight end room, and the running back. I know they picked up, a running back from Baltimore, but both running backs from Baltimore. So I'm a little bit unsure. I think they'll be a tough team. I think, they will put pieces together for the next years to come and build. They have their franchise quarterback. Now is just, building off of that and putting the right pieces into places with things and whatnot. But I don't expect them to be too much of a huge threat or anything like that. I know that they're going to be a tough team for teams to play. You just have, to capitalize on your opportunities. They're going to be a well-coached team. Harbaugh is going to do that. They're going to he's done it at Stanford. He's done it at Michigan. He's done it with the 49ers. So time and time again, you've seen him turn around things. But, give him 2-3 years for that to, come through.
Yeah, looking at taking a peek at their schedule here. So obviously we go to week one. Week one, they actually got the Raiders. Then they got the Panthers. Then they got the Steelers. Shout out Mike Tomlin, gets extended once again. Don't think there's any surprises there. Definitely probably deserves it. And then they get to the Kansas City Chiefs, by Denver Broncos, Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans. I mean, it's a pretty good schedule so far. New Orleans Saints, week 9. The Cleveland Browns, 10. Tennessee Titans, week 11. The Bengals, week 12. Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Broncos, Patriots, and then they finish it off.
That's a team that I would be interested in with Hard Knocks being on, just to kind of understand what's going on. Like I said, I can't name you 3 receivers in their receiver room right now. I know
Quentin Johnston.
That was a kid out of TCU last year. I know they got the kid out of Georgia, and they might have gotten another kid out of TCU last year. I think he's kind of like their return specialist. I can't remember his name, but I know he wears 12.
I think Palmer might still be there too. Josh,
but you lose out on your first round draft pick from a couple years ago, who's been, a staple in your offense with Mike Williams. You trade away Slay, who's been arguably the face of the Chargers outside of Herbert and maybe Bosa. But, you got a young, talented roster on the defensive end of things and whatnot. So they have pieces. But like I said, offensive-wise, they had too many departures to where I'm just not so sure that, Herbert's going to be able to do stuff with what he has in the running back room, the tight end room, and the receiver room.
Yep, and they did pick up out of Michigan. They did get Cornelius Johnson, so that's a wide receiver they can try to plug in there. And then they got Brendan Rice out of USC. That was another round 7 pick. So they get a couple wide receivers try to fill those gaps, but that would be a good Hard Knocks team.
You got rookies that are stepping into a grown man's league. Like there aren't too many good receivers, that there are a handful of receivers that, stepped onto the scene year one and, took off. So not to say that they can't do it and everything like that, but you're in, a difficult conference. And then you're in the AFC. So the teams that you're going to play, it's a flip of a coin if they're going to be a playoff team or not.
Yeah, and I do think with that coaching staff and the players that got in there, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot on Justin Herbert. Kind of a similar situation with Josh Allen, where he's going to be expected to do more despite coming off what was just a kind of a gut-breaking season where not at all where you wanted to finish up. Obviously, 5-12, a lot worse than what the Buffalo Bills were. The Bills felt like you had a lot of chips on the table. With the Chargers, you're trying to build back up. And we got some notes from DP here. Okay, absolutely. Well, be sure to tune in one-on-one with DP later tonight, 9 p.m. We'll have a former NBA player in there as well. So be tuned in for that one as the boss man bringing some notes. But yeah, continue with this NFL conversation. Give me that surprise team. Give me your surprise team in the NFL that nobody's even talking about right now, that has a shot to not only make the playoffs, but make a run.
In the NFC or AFC?
You can pick one. You can go either side here.
Ooh. Surprise team. I think, honestly, the Packers are screaming out at me. I know you probably hate that one. They just signed Love to a 4-year.
Yeah.
And I forget what the number was, but he's the second highest paid quarterback right now. I think they have the pieces on the offensive side. They definitely added pieces in the running back room. I know they lost Aaron Jones, but I'm telling you, with the addition of Josh Jacobs to that's not, that's probably even. And I know they did a real good job of drafting on the defensive side. And their defense hasn't been, terrible for the past couple of years. And they have, a lot of key pieces coming back on defense. So people are talking about them, but I don't think people realize, I think, how much of a problem that they're going to be. I think that they're going to win the NFC North.
Couldn't pick anybody else.
It's going to be between them and the Lions.
All right. I should have said pick an AFC team. I should have known it was going to be the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, he's. Did that deal finally come through? I know a few hours ago they're topping optimistically.
It did.
Their future in him. That's scary. That's a team that's absolutely believing that they got the pieces they need. And if you're, being unbiased here, looking at the tape from last year, that is absolutely the right move. I mean, that's a team that's a young team. They're all playing well, confidently. You made some moves there at the running back position as well to help you out. The offensive line held together pretty well. I mean, that's a young team with a high ceiling, and just salary-wise, too. If you need to make moves in upcoming seasons, that's going to be available to you. They've got a long leash, and they're winning early already. That's the most terrifying thing about the Packers. Long leash, and they're winning a lot.
I'm trying to tell you, they're I think they're going to be, obviously, one of the 4 conferences gets one of the 4 spots, but they're going to be something rough. LaFleur has got them going in the right direction. I think the AFC is a lot more competitive than the NFC. I think you'll see more teams who've won 10 games not get in. I remember a couple years ago when Flores was still, the head coach of Miami. I think they were like 10-7, and they didn't get in.
Yeah.
So I think with that, I think the AFC is way more stacked than the NFC. And it's come playoff time. that them last 5-6 weeks of the year, it's going to be a show.
Yeah. Give me, before we get out of here, one more thing here as we're running out of time. Out of all the new running back quarterback duos we've seen get linked up this year, give me the best 1-2 punch in the NFL that sits today.
Well, quarterback and running back 1-2 punch?
Yep. Run game and the passing game. Who's the best grouping that we have in the league today? For me, it's no question. I'm still going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Oh my God.
That's like what I'm thinking. I'm like there's no way that doesn't take off between that And I just don't know what the offensive coordinator for the Eagles are. Like, I want to throw Saquon in there, but like, I don't know what the coordinator is going to be like. I know what the coordinator was like, what was like that in Baltimore. So it's hard to not go with a 2-time MVP, a rushing champ. They have, a strong offensive line. They're a smash mouth football team. They're tough. They're physical. So it's the Ravens that scream out at me as well.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be a problem. I mean, this is kind of a year for the Ravens where I think, man, just the way that Lamar Jackson is really starting to play too. I mean, that playoff run we've talked about it enough. I'm not going to dive in. We don't have enough time to dive into it. But I felt like the play calling really didn't do him any favors. It just was a tough game. Hopefully this year they're a little more consistent with the run game, the thing that got him there. And I'd be very surprised, if they have Derrick Henry back there, that they make that same mistake twice. I mean, that is just going to be hell on earth for those linebackers.
The AFC North is the hardest division in football. It's not close. All of those teams are capable of winning 10 games. You got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, the Browns, and the Ravens. That is the hardest division in football, and it's not close compared to any other division.
Yeah, and with that being said, I think that's going to be a great spot to wrap up because I think we're both kind of agreeing there. Once again, shout out to DeMornay Pierson-El joining me on time as always for 7 o'clock. But don't go anywhere. We got What's Brewing with Chance of Brewington up next. And then after that, one-on-one with DP, and he'll have a guest as well. Shout out to DeMornay Pierson-El on time as always. I will talk to him again tomorrow. That wraps it up for us. And we'll talk to you in a little bit.